Look, I opened this jar of rotten baby food, and well, a butterfly came out.
Ooh. Well, now you're getting into ifs and whats. That's an even scarier hole. That's that's something
Oh, it's a
else.
oh, it's an if and a what, right? We're
Yeah, definitely.
rewriting history here with this one. Um, Welcome to the Comedians and Elevators podcast. I've got my guest Alex Hughes. Alex, say hi, introduce yourself, and tell us a little bit about yourself.
Hey, I was Alex Hughes. I'm a writer and a filmmaker, and well, that's about it, really.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, you ready to get into it?
Yeah, yeah, of course.
Listen, to my regular listeners, I know you don't like when at the beginning of these conversations I ask you to subscribe. None of us like it. I don't like saying it. I don't like it being in here. But it's frustrating. You know what else is frustrating? It's also frustrating when I look in the back end of the YouTube channel and I see the 56% of you that watch frequently haven't yet subscribed. And I know this because I see it in the comments section. You say things like, I didn't know I didn't subscribe. And that's actually what fuels the show. Basically, it's like you're making a donation to the show. So that's why I ask all the time, because it enables us to build and build and build. And we're going for the long term here. Hit the subscribe button and we'll continue to build this show for you. That's my promise. Thank you to all you guys that do subscribe. It means the world to me. All right, so the main point of the podcast is to compare and contrast the comic versus the comedian. So I define the comic as any person telling funny jokes versus the comedian who's a funny person telling any jokes. So Alex, would you agree that you start as a comic and evolve into the comedian?
Oh yeah, yeah, definitely. I think a comedian is kind of an act in itself. So if you're starting as a comic, you're gonna evolve into the comedian eventually.
So can you think of anyone that's actually gone through that metamorphosis that you know of?
Um, Not really, but I feel like you can kind of tell the difference of when someone is putting on a show and then when someone's authentic or starting out.
Okay, definitely. So you ready for the first question?
Yep, go right ahead.
All right, so it's about the role of persona in comedy. How much of the comedian's voice is a character versus their real self?
Yeah. Um, I would say I feel like it could be 50-50. It depends on how much they're like in the the world. So say they've just started as a comedian when they're still a comic, they're more authentic in their voice, but as they work on their act and as they work on their character, they could change their voice because it could get reactions out of people and so forth and so on, I guess.
Okay, I'll go with that. So does authenticity matter or is illusion part of the magic?
Oh, I think authenticity matters to the point of how I don't know how to explain it, of how much people enjoy it, I would say. So I think as far as someone is real, that adds to the point of the act. If you know someone is lying about every single joke they tell, I feel like at the point of that, you just wouldn't find it funny anymore.
Interesting. So it has to be potentially real. What about if it's a narrative where it fits into a story, which is also potentially not real?
Yeah. Well, that's true. I mean, with storytelling, obviously you're making up these stories, and at that point, they could become real to some people in their minds. So I guess at that point, when somebody is telling a narrative joke, then that is kind of authentic in itself, I would say.
That would be my argument. So potentially, if you have enough detail and you actually create this parallel reality, would that suffice for authenticity?
Um, yeah, I guess so. Yeah,
But that's a lot of work, right? To create
yeah,
the parallel
yeah,
reality.
yeah. Very much.
So, right. So, all right. So, punching up versus punching down. So, where do comics versus comedians stand on this? So, let me put it in some historical context. Did a jealous medieval prince become the first comedian by killing the court jester?
Oh, did well, did the people when he killed the jester, did they find it funny?
We don't know if this even happened, right? So now we're getting
Well,
into a
yeah.
scenario where this narrative may not even be real. So
Beady,
am I
beady,
being
beady,
authentic
beady.
with the question?
Ooh. Well, now you're getting into ifs and whats. That's an even scarier hole. That's something
Oh, it's a
else.
oh, it's an if and a what, right? We're
Yeah, definitely.
rewriting history here with this one. Um, okay,
Well,
so would you? Yeah, you have an idea about it?
oh no, I was gonna say if say he killed the jester, if people laughed at it, and
Mhm.
that was part of an act, I guess then he would be a comedian, I guess. But then if no one laughs, then well, it's just murder.
It is. Now, what if everyone in the audience are psychopathic sadists, where they would enjoy that no matter what, because you know how it was back then, right? So, is that still
If
considered
they
comedy?
enjoyed it, that's a I don't know. I don't know.
Audience of only sadists, and we're going to do a live execution. And they laughed. What is happening? Is that comedy?
I guess no. I guess I would say no. If they're all sadists and they all are like they love it, I guess more than anything that is it's entertainment, but it might not be comedy. It might just be pure enjoyment.
This is a weird scenario, right?
Yeah,
So,
this is just getting weirder.
all right. So, is the audience, but this is where it becomes more relevant. So, would the audience agreement with the comedian be form of a permission or alignment?
Ooh. The audience agrees, then I guess the prince who had killed someone in this scenario, they would think if they've laughed at it, he would think it's funny. So maybe he would do it again, and then that would come into an act of his own.
Hmm.
But if they don't agree, I feel like, well, considering it's medieval times, if they don't agree, they're all probably going to be killed anyway. So I feel like they have to. But it's to say they didn't agree and they got away with it, then I feel like then it wouldn't become an act.
All right. All right. So, cultural translation of comedy. How do jokes that work in one country bomb in another?
Ooh. Well, that kind of comes down to I guess I put it in this way, like say you have an inside joke with someone and you have all these links back and forth of knowing the background of this joke, and they tell a joke in say I told a joke in my country, England, it would it would hit. But say if I went over to America and I told the exact same joke without the context behind it, it could just get a dead silent crowd. So I think a big part of it is, I guess, the culture and the background of where the jokes are originating from, and then if the people understand the transfer, then the joke could work.
So, is truth the meaning of facts?
Ooh, I mean, I guess in comedy, truth is could be what you make it, because
So,
that
would that
is
So
where
would
was
those jokes you made be the meaning of the facts that you may be creating?
uh yeah. It's just I don't know.
It's a,
Yeah, I guess so.
a very deep question. So
Yeah,
I'm gonna go deep real quick. Come right back up
that's
like a
fine.
little bit of a
Like
little
a
bit of
yo-yo.
a free dive, right? So
Yeah, yeah.
excuse me. So are comics more universal while comedians are more culturally specific?
Uh, yeah, yeah. I feel like a comic for a comic specifically, it's kind of like like you could be funny, but just as a throwaway joke, and it's not like a set. You could make someone laugh by like the off chance.
Hmm.
So you could be out and you make a joke and someone would laugh, or a group of people would laugh and stuff. But that doesn't specifically make you a comedian. If you're a comedian, you're in the area of your sets. You know the culture. You have these jokes that they could build upon, and then people would laugh about it. That's
Okay, I'll go with that. So, crowd work versus crafted work. So, if comics riff like influencers in the comments section and comedians perform like in reaction videos, where is the sweet spot?
ooh. Ooh. What do you mean? What do you mean exactly? Like,
This is a very complicated question. So, I would also argue that The comedian is performing a narrative. There's a story arc to that. And the comic is not necessarily doing so. They're riffing more. They're kind of going with using the crowd potentially
Yeah.
as more of a material generator, right? So I don't know if you've ever seen. So if you're like in the comment section and you're bantering back and forth, I would argue that's a comic because usually there's no narrative there,
Mm.
which there may be, like, but potentially probably not. But in a reaction video, there's a narrative. You're basically talking about someone else, so we already know where it's going to go, what the plot is. So the question is there even a relationship between these two things?
Um, no, not really. I wouldn't think so. I think when you have crowd work, that is specifically the people around you, and if it's like a real crowd, you you can see the people, you could see the people that are actually against you and with you, and then that's how you get like hecklers and stuff. And then when it's things like the comment section of videos, like we said with the comics, because that's back and forth like banter.
Hmm.
I think that stuff is more like uh not as personal because it's just like behind the screen.
All right. So what happens when a comic leans too much into crowd work or when a comedian gets heckled?
Oh, well, that's like what I just said.
Exactly.
When when they lean into crowd work, I think for is this for comics or comedians?
Well, I mean, I would argue that the comic does the crowd work, but of course we know comedians do it as well. So that may
Yeah.
be, a moment when they dip back into that, or it may not be that definition is not applicable at all. So you tell me
Mm.
what you think about the two.
Okay. Well, for comedians, I would say most comedians have a set, and if you lead too much into the crowd work for like the whole set, I think eventually people are just going to get bored of it. It's like when you watch a loop over and over again. You can watch it a couple times and it's still funny, and
Mhm.
then 20 times later you're just bored of it. When it's like a comic, I feel like that's different because say if it's not a strategic set, you could really bounce off each other a lot more, and it would be more, I guess the word like flow. It could flow better.
Okay, I'll go with that one. So, very important question: advertising and self promotion. Who advertises themselves more, the comic, the comedian, or the magician? You know that place where you're not conscious and you're not sleeping either? That's your power bill to the electric company. Right here. I want us to be here with free energy, where the Wardenclyffe Tower meets the Eiffel Tower. But that's not where we are. We are here, where you've got the utility and you've got residential solar. Between these two, we know which one saves you money. This is where we can go in the meantime. But this is where I want us to be now, and this can be done now. So let me deputize you to represent DOSE, Department of Solar Efficiency, and let's get on the podcast to get the message out today. See you soon.
Magician. I would say I would think the comedian does more self promotion. No, no, does advertising, and then the comic does self promotion.
Okay,
I would
interesting. So,
I would say that because the comedian, um you say if you're a comedian, you most likely have people that know you're funny and want to see your jokes and want to see you be funny. So in a way, that is advertising in itself because somebody could go to their friend or post it on social media saying, "Oh, this person's funny. They're doing a set. You should go." And it's like branching out in a tree. When you're a comic, if you want to be a comic and then go to be a comedian, you need to self promote yourself. You need to let people know that you're funny so that other people can then, I guess, follow along because that self promotion could always morph into advertising.
okay, I mean, I can't disagree with that. So, is self promotion seen as selling out or is it necessary for survival?
No way. Self promotion is needed, especially in today's world. There's so many people that are trying to do everything, especially in the entertainment world. People are people are everywhere trying to do something you want to do. You need to self-promote yourself just to get yourself out there. You need to
Mhm.
be seen by someone because if you're making something and you're not seen, not really making anything in that world. In that world.
If a tree falls in the woods,
Yeah,
there's no
basically,
one to hear
basically.
it. A bear farts in the woods.
Yeah.
So, right. So censorship and offense. Does a comic avoid offense while a comedian courts it to prove a point, like a magician?
Hmm. Oh yeah, I forgot about the magician. With um with offensive stuff, I think when a comedian leads into it, they they usually have a background in that area, so they have uh like say because I'm English, if I was a comedian, I would use the stereotypes of me eating crumpets and tea and stuff. But that's not a true thing. But I would lean in. That is oh, my mic because that is or the stereotypes when it's the comedian comic, sorry, using uh cultural things. I feel like that could just be used in a conversation. It's just I don't really know for the comics. I just think that for the comedians,
Okay. So, who survives better in the cancel culture environment? The comic, the comedian, the magician, or the mudslinger?
the mudslingers are cool. Explain the magician and the mudslingers to me.
Well, we're adding some extra. So, the magician would potentially be on the same stage. I'm sure you may have seen hybrid comedian magician
Yeah,
combos, right? The
yeah.
same person telling jokes with their magic. And the mudslinger, I'd argue, is basically a heckler, but taking it to the next degree, right?
Oh, okay. So in that sense, the mudslinger, they're not affected by the cancel culture. They're in the crowd. They're fine. I think the people that are most affected by it, out of all of them, would be it's between the comedian and the magician, but I'd lean more towards the comedian. I
Okay.
would,
So you'd say the magician is more cancelable than the comic.
yeah, because I'd say in the tiers, a magician would be higher than a comic, so they would have more,
More to
um,
lose.
yeah, more to lose, and then the
Okay.
comedian, so forth.
Now, what if the magician is like comic status, right? He's kind of starting out, right? Because there's no, so I'm arguing the hierarchy goes comic, comedian,
Mm,
but there's no hierarchy for magician, right? There's
no,
apprentice magician. I mean, do you ever
yeah,
see an apprentice do magic?
no. Well, you could
Maybe.
do, you could do. I would say if they're the same level of status, um, well, they're just as equally cancelable in this world.
All right. We'll go with that. So, timing and delivery, science or art? So, do comics rely more on structure and comedians more on rhythm and emotion?
Oh, yes, yeah, because there's points in time where if a joke is gonna land or if something is going to hit. If
Mhm.
you have a punchline and then you could tell, like you can, it's all about timing. The time is basically everything in a comedian's world. If you have a really funny line but you say it at the wrong time, it might not get the same reaction as if you were to say it like 30 seconds later because the punchline is building up over time. So I think time is definitely a very important thing.
Okay. So, laughter versus applause. Are comics chasing laughs and comedians chasing applause breaks that validate the message?
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah, I would I actually would agree with that. I think when you're starting off as a comic, you want the laughs because that lets you know that people find you funny so you could move up. And then once you're a comedian and you've already hit that place, you want to get applauds. You still want to get laughs, but you want to get applauds because then you know that you are respected, I would say.
Okay. It's about being respected. All right. So we'll go with that. So comedy is commentary. So when does a comedian cross into being a philosopher or a preacher?
When they start giving their proper personal opinions on stuff, I would say. Or for a philosopher, I think that I don't really know for that. But I guess for a
Mhm.
preacher is if it's when you start like I guess branching out into the beliefs and stuff, which I don't think is a wrong thing. I just think that's when they would become one technically.
So is it good or does it dilute the humor?
No, no, if people's preaching stuff, it's still funny. I mean, at the end of the day, if you're a comedian, you should be funny. So whatever you say, it's just still make you laugh.
All right. Board game Zoomcast, play versus performance. If comedy were a board game Zoomcast, are you competing as the colorist, adding tone, mood, and shading, or the Foley artist, building punchlines with soundscapes and timing?
Ooh. Is that for me personally or a comedian in
Absolutely.
general? Okay, for me
Mhm.
personally, I think
Yeah.
if I was a comedian, I think sounds like when I was growing up, when I'd watch comedy stuff, whenever they'd make a funny sound, to me that was like I thought that was great. So I think if I was a comedian, I'd be one of the people that makes the funny sounds like the Foley, like you said, because
Now, what
like that's
if,
how I
no,
find
no,
funny.
let me put it in two-part question. How would you, as you are now, Alex, and how would you be as a comic?
All right, if I was a comic just starting out, which technically in my actual line I want to be in, I'm still just starting out, so I technically am a comic.
Okay.
Um, I would for comedy, I don't know, I feel like I'd go to comedy clubs, not steal jokes, but just like be around real funny people, just so you know timing
Mhm.
and just like I guess not writing, but like just the way jokes are told.
Yeah, of course, to get
That's
the
what I would
sense.
do if I was just starting out.
Okay. But if you were on a board game
Oh yeah,
Zoomcast
the yeah.
and you have to choose between the colorist and the Foley artist, and you're a comic.
Robert, I'd probably start on the colorist actually because
Okay.
I feel like that's fundamentals. I feel like
Ah,
that's building from the bottom up, like you know, colors and stuff. I think that is it's like building blocks, and then once you get into the better like comedy stage, that's when you can start doing the foley and all of that stuff. So I think it starts with building up with the colors and then going over to the foley.
interesting. Okay. We'll go with that. So here on we have a tradition on the Comedians and Elevators podcast. So well, the tradition is the previous guest has a question for the next guest. And so the previous guest was John Russo, and his question for you, Alex, is what's your favorite movie?
Okay, my favorite movie is It's a Wonderful Life, you know, by Frank Capra. It's the only film that I can ever watch. I only watch it once a year at Christmas time, and it's the only film that can ever get a reaction out of me. It's the only closest film to make me cry. Only.
Wow. And does that happen every time?
Um, it gets more and more every time. So the first time I watched it,
Really?
the first time I watched it, I was like, okay, this is really good. I really enjoy it. The second time I watched it, I was like, oh. And then the third time, it's like I'm holding back the tears. So I think when I watch it again this year, I'm gonna bawl my eyes out.
And this will be the fourth time?
Yeah.
Wow. Now
Well,
that's interesting.
technically I watched it a long time ago when I was a kid, but then I
Right.
picked it back up.
Very cool. So you've got a tradition of your own.
Yeah, I guess that's my tradition.
Awesome. Very cool. So, last question. Legacy. Who gets remembered? Will the comic's tight five survive time, or will the comedian's cultural point of view be more timeless?
I would say the comedian's point of view. I think a point of view can change the world. I think if you have people that really agree with you, or even people that just it's the way it's the way with words you have uh to move people forward. So I think that against a type five is going to be way more remembered because a type five is obviously, you know, the funny jokes, it's the big hits. But once you die, because everyone dies sadly, you're going to be remembered for in some ways how far you came.
Is it sad that you die, or is it a celebration?
That depends on
You already answered.
people. It depends on the audience.
Oh, okay, fair enough. We're not talking about dying on stage, though, right?
No, no, no.
All right, Alex. Well, where can everybody find you online?
Currently, you can only find me on Instagram because I'm still new to all of this, but one day you'll be able to find me in the movie theaters.
Okay, fair enough.
Hopefully.
Fair enough. There's no
Hopefully.
other social media you could be discovered on?
No, LinkedIn. If you
Ah,
really if you want to meet me on LinkedIn, I joined that a couple months ago, and my name is just Alex Hughes. Oh, but on Instagram, if you search alex.hughes17, that's how you can find me. I didn't actually give the handle.
excellent. Excellent, Alex. Well, thank you so much for being my guest. And for everybody, please like and subscribe, and we will see you in the next one.
Thank you.